an introduction to charting the life course. My name is Barb Seferis, and I am an Ohio ambassador for Charting the Life Course, and I work with the Family Resource Network of Ohio, which is at the Nysonger Center at The Ohio State University. Our Charting the Life Course trainings are provided by the Family Resource Network of Ohio. We are Ohio's official hub for Charting the Life Course. We hope you'll visit our website, frnohio.org, where we have a lot of resources, not just about charting the life course, but resources to support people and families. We have lots of videos, but we also hope you like our Facebook page. We post stories on our Facebook page every week about how people in Ohio are using Charting the Life course in their lives. So stories from people with lived experience, families, and professionals across multiple systems. So education, developmental disabilities, physical health, emotional health, early intervention. So please like our Facebook page. If you have the ability to share our stories on your own Facebook page or agency Facebook page, we'd appreciate it. Just so we share stories of the impact that using Charting the Life course has on people, families, and also helping professionals do their work. We're so appreciative of funding from the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities and the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce. And because of that generosity, we do not have to charge people to attend any of our sessions. I want to just introduce you to our staff, our team at the Family Resource Network of Ohio. Our project manager is Tracy Manns, and our project manager coordinator is Erica Young. So if you do go to our website and sign up to get information about all of our offerings, you will probably get emails and confirmations from either Tracy or Erica. So a little bit about me. I've worked with people and families in the intellectual and developmental disability field for over 49 years in the Cleveland, Ohio area. I've worked in schools, in day programs, in residential settings. I've supported people in their employment settings, and I've had a variety of roles. I started in the field as a paid employee, as a direct support professional. My training and background is as a speech language pathologist, and I've also worked as a service coordinator. And most importantly, I am a sibling. I had two younger brothers. My youngest brother, Nick, was 6 months old when he was diagnosed with a developmental disability, and I was 4 going into kindergarten. We had home-based services from a private agency, so immediately we had therapists coming into the home. And my brother Jim, our middle brother, was in an accident in his 30s, and it impacted his ability to get through his days without help and also to earn a living. So Nick had a developmental disability, Jim had an acquired disability. The resources that I'm going to refer to in this intro are listed on the screen, and you can find them on lifecoursetools.com. So let's talk about charting the life course and set the stage. Again, this is just an introduction to the principles and framework of charting the life course. I'll introduce you to some of the common tools that we share in Ohio, and also to the common language that we use in charting the life course. Language that's common, it's understandable, and we hope will be used across service systems, so that families don't have to keep changing the words that they use and making sure they understand that in this system, they use this language, but over here they use this language. So we would like to see all the systems use common understandable language. So on the left side of your screen, you see the framework for charting the life course. We not only try to use common understandable language, but we also use icons or symbols. And the symbols on the left side of the screen represent the principles of charting the life course, which I will briefly talk about and introduce them. An important element of charting the life course is that it was developed by and for people with disabilities and their families. On the right side of the screen, you see a map of the United States, and you see that Ohio is in that lilac color. There are about 25 states in the United States that are part of the National Community of Practice on Supporting Families. Ohio is part of that National Community of Practice. And the reason I share that with you is because we get to learn from people in other states what they're doing to support and empower families. And we also get to share what we're doing in Ohio with other states. And so we get to learn from each other and enhance our practices and enhance our ability to support and empower people and families. One of the common tools in charting the life course is called the trajectory, and it's really two arrows. One arrow going up towards what we want, one arrow going towards what we don't want. Our trajectory in Ohio for supporting and empowering people with disabilities and families to use charting the life course is that we want families to know about charting the life course. We want them to use the framework and tools to think about their life, to plan, to share with others their vision of their good life, and to problem solve. We want professionals to value that information that families give them and people give them. And we want professionals to use the framework to gather information or do assessments, to plan, to problem solve, and to move forward to help people have the life they value. What we don't want, that bottom arrow that's dotted, is we don't want people to just look at charting the life course and say, oh my goodness, here's more paper. I don't want to fill out more forms. And we don't want people to get the information from people and families and not use it, not value it. Our core belief, our why, so to speak, why we do the work we do, is that we believe that all people and their families have the right to live, love, work, play, learn, and pursue their life aspirations in their community. So this is why we do our work. We want everyone to have good life outcomes. So what does that mean? Well, for the person receiving supports, we want them to have that civil right of self-determination. And self-determination is control over decisions affecting your life and having the support to make those decisions. We want people to be interdependent because none of us are independent. We all depend on others. And sometimes, we do a disservice by telling people they have to be independent when none of us are. We work. Why do we work? We work so we have money to get the things that we need and we want. If I think about I don't grow my own food. I don't make my clothes. I didn't build my car or my home. We are interdependent and we all need help. We want people to feel productive. And why is that important? Because when people feel they are contributing and are productive, uh, their self-esteem is better. And we want people to be included in all aspects of their community life. We also want families to have a good life. We want families to be supported in ways that recognize their strengths and assets and maximize their capacity and ability to support the people they love. So overall, regardless of the system you work in, whether or the system you're receiving supports from, whether it's education or DD or behavioral health, physical health, it doesn't matter. The overall outcomes in all systems are that people feel supported, they feel helped. And help is defined by the person receiving it, not by the person giving it. We want all people to feel empowered. That's an outcome. We want to give people tools and resources so they have control and power over their life, or the civil right of self-determination. We want everyone to be seen as valued members of their community. We want them to be seen as human beings first, and we want to recognize their gifts. And we want people to have a life they value. So these are overall outcomes in charting the life course, in person-centered thinking, in Medicaid guidance, and in a variety of rules which govern the service systems. So we need to reframe how we think about supports. And in charting the life course, what we focus on is person-centered supports within the context of the family and community. So charting the life course is really about having different conversations. We don't have checklists, and we give you resources and tools to help frame those conversations. It's also a different way of thinking because our focus is on what is a good life for this person and how can we support them to move towards their good life. We encourage high expectations. So we don't say to people, no, you can't. But we want to have more conversations about, well, what is that? What does it mean? Why is that important to you? So the example that I love is I worked with a team where a young man who grew up in an institution and recently moved out of the institution wanted a job, and the team was working to help him find a job. And when they asked him what he wanted to do, he said he wanted to be a pilot. And people quickly said, well, you can't be a pilot. You don't know how to read. You don't know math. And the job coach asked him, why do you want to be a pilot? What's so important about being a pilot? And he shared that when he was a little boy, he remembered going to the airport and seeing his dad leave. He was a pilot, not of big commercial jets, but of smaller planes. And he said he remembered that, and he remembered going to the airport and when his dad came home. And so the job coach said to him, we have a county airport in our county in Northwest Ohio. And he said, let's go out to the airport and see if they have any jobs. They went, they met the manager of the airport. He said he didn't have any jobs. Job coach left his card, said, if anything comes up, give me a call. Called him about a month later, said, I have a job. Do you think he wants it? Job coach said, I don't know. I'll ask him if he wants to come out and learn more about it. They went, the manager said it was a maintenance job. The young man said he wanted to work at the airport. He was a great employee. The manager really liked him. He was punctual. He was eager. He did everything he was told to do. He was pleasant. The pilots liked him because he would talk to them and, how you doing? When are you coming back? Oh, I'm not going to be here. I'll see you next time. And he eventually not only did maintenance, but he learned other things around the airport, and he was driving the cart to go unload the planes. And everybody really liked him. He was not a pilot, but he was in that community. He was around pilots and he was helping pilots. And so his self-esteem was high because he was in that environment, helping the people that he valued. So we want to make sure we provide experiences to people so that they can move towards their good life. And remember, if we don't have experiences and opportunities, how do we know what we want and what we don't want? And as we have conversations, we want to look not only at supports that are available through eligibility specific supports or agencies, but through a variety of sources. So charting the life course is not about tools and it's not a program. We don't do charting the life course. We integrate the thinking, the framework, the resources, the tools into our work. And charting the life course is for anyone, regardless of age or ability. Some people like to say yes, but I work with people who are nonverbal. Everyone communicates. And I say this as a retired speech language pathologist. I never met anyone in my 45 years as a licensed SLP that did not communicate. And we gather the information from people's words and actions and from the people who know them well, because everyone communicates what they want, or what they don't want, what they like, what they don't like. And it's a matter of observing and talking to people who know them well if they can't answer the questions themselves. There are 8 guiding principles in charting the life course. First one, it's for all people across ages from birth through the end of life, across abilities. So it's not just for people who receive supports. I've used the principles and the tools in my own personal life to help support me, to help support my family members. We recognize the importance of family systems and cycles, and that as things change in a family, they go through cycles, and perhaps their need for support will change as the family goes through different cycles. So think about the impact on a family if someone in the family gets ill or loses their job. Their need for supports may differ and may change. As a service coordinator, I always saw changes in a family's need for support if a sibling was graduating from high school and leaving to go away to college, or when a caregiver was ill, either short-term or long-term. The third principle, and they're not in any order of importance, is the importance of life stages and trajectory. So having a vision across the lifespan. I've worked with families of babies, and they have a vision for their loved one. They want them to be happy. They want them to have friends. They want them to have a job they like. They want them to be able to live in their own place. That's the vision. And to have a trajectory or a path to move forward towards that vision. Please remember, it's never too early to start identifying a vision or a trajectory, and it's never too late. I've used this with, as I said, families of babies, but also families who had older loved ones in their 80s and 90s. We also see the importance of having outcomes in our life and having experiences. So think about what brought you to this work. What was your experience that led you to work with people with disabilities? A lot of times people will tell me they had a family member or they volunteered at some kind of a program with youth with disabilities, or they worked in a camp. So, and think about the impact of all the experiences you've had in your life. How do you know if you want to do something if you've never done it? How do you know if you like certain foods if you've never tried them? So we believe that people should have lots of experiences so they can make informed decisions about their outcomes. In Charting the Life course, we talk about 6 life domains, and you see a circle that's cut into 6 pieces, 6 pie slices, and we'll go through those domains. They are not skill areas, they're life areas, and they really define our quality of life. We'll talk about the 3 buckets in just a little bit, and I'll talk more about integrated supports. But I want to just highlight the principle of policy and systems. We want people with disabilities and their families to be included in developing policy, procedures, practices, not just being updated, but actually being part of the conversation and the development. So our focus, of course, is on the person with a disability or the person receiving supports, but it's not the person versus the family. We look at the person in the context of family. So we believe in a holistic approach, looking at family engagement and supporting not just the person, but also the family. And why is this important? Well, because we know that most people in Ohio with intellectual and developmental disabilities live with family, and the number is just over 70%. And so we need to also look at the person in the context of their family. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the relationship that siblings have. If you think about your own brothers and sisters, we have a relationship with our brothers and sisters typically longer than with our parents and longer than with our spouse or with our own children. It is the longest typical relationship we have in our lives. Siblings of people with disabilities, any disability, often feel like the club sandwich generation because they may be supporting their siblings, but they may also have children of their own, as well as supporting their aging parents. So in the bottom left-hand corner, there is an international nonprofit called the Sibling Leadership Network. And they have a closed Facebook group, called SibNet. I belong to SibNet. As I said, it's a closed Facebook group. It's an opportunity for siblings from all over the world. There's about 5,000 siblings on this closed group to share their concerns and get support. So we'll talk about the importance of having support from people who have similar experience. So if you know of an adult sibling over the age of 18, and they're looking for a place to just become part of a community, maybe get some support, maybe just lurk for a while, tell them about SibNet. In Charting the Life course, we recognize that everyone in the family has reciprocal roles. They care about each other, people, and they care for each other. So we believe that every member of the family cares about others, and cares for others. Caring about is represented by the symbol of a heart. And those are the emotional carings. Those are when we show affection. These are the people we show affection to, that we're concerned about their self-esteem. We know their stories. We may have shared experiences that we laugh about and maybe cry about. And we make a commitment. Caring for is often represented by the symbol of a shield, and sometimes it's a person with a roof over their head. And these are the physical carings, helping that day-to-day care. Who helps laundry and cooking, and maybe even supporting with personal care, helping with financial needs or material needs, helping them be part of activities and groups, and helping them advocate. So caring about the emotional caring is usually provided by family and friends. Think about the people in your life that you show affection to, they show affection to you. Caring for is also provided by family and friends, but these are also, this is also the caring that we can maybe have someone who's paid give that support. So, we can have staff who maybe provide that day-to-day care. We can have someone maybe provide that financial oversight. We can have staff that might help people be included in their community and in activities, or even hire people to help advocate. So the caring about is usually provided by family and friends, unpaid, and the caring for can be provided by family and friends who are not paid, but also perhaps by paid people. We recognize that all people exist within the context of family, and family is defined by the person. They can be biological, or they can be chosen family members. And it doesn't depend on how close they live to people. So right now, I have a family member who has a close biological family member that lives 15 minutes away, and has another close biological family member that lives 2 airline flights away. And you can guess who the family member is that shows up when support is needed. And it is not the person who is the closest geographically. So we have to remember that when we talk about who's close to you, we're talking about emotional closeness, not necessarily geographic. And also when we talk about family that are involved and engaged, it may not be family who attend the meetings. There are several family members that I've met, including my own, who do not like going to meetings. They find it very emotionally draining and causes trauma. And so they may not attend the meetings, but that doesn't mean that they don't love and care for the person in their family. I mentioned the 3 buckets. That's one of the principles. These 3 buckets really reflect needs that we all have. So think about anything in your life: changing jobs, planning a vacation, getting a car, moving. We all have these needs. If we're going to move, we want information. What's out there? Where do I want to live? Do I want to live in the country, in the city, close to freeways, close to a bus line, close to certain things? So discovery, looking what does the neighborhood look like? What does that area look like? And then goods and services. What will help me move? Am I looking for an apartment? Am I looking to buy? Am I looking to rent? What kind of financing do I have to support my move? Am I going to hire a moving company, or are friends going to help me? So don't just think about thinking about the 3 buckets when we're talking about disability services, but think about it in your own life. And then we want to connect with others. We might reach out to people we know. What did you do when you moved? What was it like? Do you like the area you're in? What do you like? What don't you like? So we do this all the time. We want information. We want to know what will help us move towards our goal. And we want to talk to other people who have had similar experiences. So those are needs. But you see at the top of the slide, it says supports. So as professionals, if you're a professional, if these are the needs, how are we being mindful and intentional with filling those 3 buckets when we talk to people, when we meet with them? Are we giving them information? Are we helping them find goods and services, not just from the system, but what's available in the community or what's available online? And are we helping them connect with others? So if you're working with families and they want to connect with other families or people with lived experience, on the Department of Developmental Disabilities website, which is listed on the bottom of the slide, they can go to the website and there's a tab that says you and your family, and there's opportunities for people to join listservs and groups. The most common tool that we share in Ohio is the portfolio, and I'm going to go through each of the 3 tools. The first one is the one-page person-centered description. And we use this when we want to shift the way people talk about people. You know, we usually introduce people and talk about their disabilities, what made them eligible for services. The one page is used when we want to shift and talk about who this human being is. We shift from talking about their needs to talking about supports. And the why, or the purpose of using the one page, is when they're going to be around new people, a new environment, or new experiences. For those of you that work in the DD field, this is not the same as the introduction page of the Ohio ISP. So let me go through the 3 sections. You see 2 templates. The one on the right, we modified in Ohio to include a space to put a photograph. So the top right box is just a box where you can actually insert a photo. This is used to really introduce who the person is, a human-centric description. You don't have to use the template. You can use just a Word document, and I'm going to show you some examples. The first section, that top left section with the light blue banner, is what do people like and admire about this person? And what we're looking for is qualities. So if someone starts telling you what they do, I'm in Special Olympics, we want to ask them, but that's what you do. What are your qualities? What's inside of you that makes you want to be part of Special Olympics? Are you athletic? Are you competitive? Or are you social? One gentleman works making flyers and works on social media for a nonprofit. And he said he asked his boss, and his boss says, what I like and admire about you is you make nice flyers. And I said, that's what you do. But what's inside of you that helps you make those nice flyers? And he goes, what do you mean? And I said, well, I would guess you have to be artistic and creative. And he goes, I am. I know the colors that look good, and I know how to match things and add pictures and symbols. So we may have to help people identify their qualities because we've never asked them before. There are some qualities on the screen, and I want you to just think about yourself or your loved one. What are some qualities that your coworkers would share about you? if we're thinking about developing a one-page to introduce yourself to your coworkers. Or think about your loved one. What would you want others to know about them, their qualities? And jot down a few things. The second section, which is the orange banner, is what is important to me. Now, this is not likes and preferences. When we talk about important to, we're talking about things that help people, that have to be present in someone's life for them to be happy, satisfied, and comforted. We get this information from people's words and actions. So what do people tell us with their words and actions is important to them? There are 8 categories. Relationships, who are the important people in their life? And we're not looking for generic information. We want details so we know what it looks like. So not friends and family, but things like what people have identified when we've helped them clarify what it means, is going to dinner with my friends once a month, or having quiet time with mom and dad, FaceTiming my sister at least once a week. And then we ask about rituals and routines, what's important to them that has to happen. A lot of times people like to do certain things when they come home from school or work. Maybe it's important to them to, one person liked to come home and watch reruns of the Andy Griffith Show. One woman said she liked to have quiet time talking to God. Things to do and places to go. Where do they want to go that if they didn't go there, it would make them feel unhappy or sad? Sometimes people name their day program or school, their job, maybe a group that they're part of, a book club or sports group. Rhythm and pace. Are they a morning person? Do they move quickly through their day? Are they a night person? Do they move slowly? Status and control. What people have shared are, they have a job. They help people. They have their own money. They have a key to their apartment or house. And they make their own decisions, or they talk it over with people they trust. Things to have. Usually when I'm on Zoom, I always have my water bottle. So that's important to me to have that water bottle with me. Purpose and meaning, what helps them feel good about themselves? And usually people will share that they help others. And then culture and identity, that could be not just pronouns, not just your background, but what groups do you feel part of? So, my identity, I'm an older white woman, I'm Greek American, I'm a sibling, I'm part of that community. That is part of my identity. I am a Charting the Life Course ambassador, and I'm part of that community. I know people all over the country. And I'm a person-centered thinking trainer and mentor trainer. That's part of my identity, and I'm part of that community. So important 2 and 4 has been in rule for over 15 years. Important 2, just a reminder, this is what we're asking for on the one page. It's what people tell us with their words and actions. Important 4 is what other people say, the family, the professionals, the therapists, the health professionals, the counselors. And that's what's usually people talk about health, safety, and what's needed to be seen as a valued member of the community. Now, if a person says, I don't want to take so many medications, that's important too, even though it's health and safety. Or if they tell us, I want to lose weight so I don't have to worry about my diabetes so much, that's important too. Some things that might be important for people so they're seen as a valued member of the community, it might be how they dress in certain areas. We've had to teach people when you work You have to come to work and wear clothes, certain clothes or you have to look a certain way. You have to behave a certain way. You talk a certain way. So that they are seen as valued members of their community. And we don't talk about what's important for people when we develop the one-page person-centered description. So again, here's some more information about important to. It's what the person tells us. It's detailed. There's 8 categories, and think about what's important to you at work, or think about what's important to your loved one in these 8 categories. Make sure you include details, because part of a good quality of life is that we have what's important to us in our life. And so we need to know when we see it. At work, it was important to me to have that first 15, 20 minutes to get to my desk, check my voicemail, check my email, make my to-do list, and get organized for the day. What's important to you at work? The third section on the one page is how to best support me, and that's that dark blue section. That's what other people need to do to support you. It's not what you need, your needs. It's a to-do list for other people. So look at what some people have shared with us. When you teach me something new, tell me, show me, watch me, and then tell me how I'm doing. It might be something like follow the behavior support guidelines. Or here's one, don't tell me what to do, give me at least 2 choices. Remind me to wear headphones in a noisy place. So instead of saying they have sensitivity to noise, I have no clue what to do. But if you write, remind me to wear headphones in a noisy place, I know exactly what to do. And then the last one, don't talk to me like I'm a child. So here's an example of a one page. This happens to be just a general introduction for anyone new to Nick. This is my brother, Nick the Greek. You notice that it doesn't say Nick Safaris. He liked to be called Nick the Greek. You notice the photo. He's in a convertible. He loved cars. That was a picture he wanted to use. And you notice that it's not on the template. It's just a Word doc with the 3 areas plus the photo. And please, just a reminder, don't use the pronoun I unless the person said it. And if the person said it, put it in quotes like you see under how to best support me. So under important to, Nick, I listed something from, I believe I tried to capture each of the 8 categories. Under great things about Nick, you see that the first thing listed is ornery. You wouldn't list ornery if he was developing this as a job seeker, because we don't want to tell employers, potential employers, he's ornery. So the qualities we might identify might be things like punctual, consistent, trustworthy. And then under how to best support, you see that they're in quotes because we learned the hard way what we needed to share with people. And so these are his words. People working with him didn't have to read a long plan. They didn't have to take a course in feeding. It was use a spoon to feed me, put the food between my teeth on the left side of my mouth. I can hear and understand you, don't yell. Use a parent voice. You know that parent voice. Hi. I could be old enough to be your father. And I'm most comfortable in my wheelchair. In other words, this is a list of what people can do to support him. It's clear and it's understandable. Now, when we write a one page, we write it for a specific purpose. So on the left, you see a one page for Maxwell. He's 3 months old and mom is going back to work. So this is for the daycare provider. And look at that photo. I mean, don't you just want to help Maxwell? But now on the right, Max is now Max, and he's a toddler, and now he's going to preschool. So it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different, and they've added a section. They've broken down how to support me with sleep, with eating, and other ways. And then they added a section, what's important to mom and dad. This one is for Liam. It's only for medical appointments. So how to best support him. He needs to know about his surroundings. He has a visual impairment and a hearing impairment. And it says he uses his hands to communicate. So be attentive to him. He needs to know what's happening. So let him touch the stethoscope before you use it. Again, it's very specific for the person. There's no checklist. You get this information from talking, having a conversation, and talking with the person and with the people who know them the best. Now, this one is for Tyler. And the reason I love this and I love sharing this is because mom is obviously very creative. And you know exactly how to start talking to Tyler, how to start a relationship, how to engage. This one is written by Elizabeth Kate, and she wrote it as the cover page of her plan. So you see it says, go to different pages for more information. When she developed this, the guru of person-centered thinking, Michael Small, looked at it and said, Elizabeth, it's hard to read. The colors, the background colors, make it difficult to read. And the font you used is difficult to read. And she looked at him and she said, this is my one page and this is the way I want it. This is one for Sophia. She was a college professor, had some health issues, had to go to rehab. And during her recovery, she wrote one for her recovery. So I love the avoid scary hospital hair. So always make sure my hair is untangled and unmatted. Make sure I have my cell phone, call light, hospital phone, TV remote, and my hairbrush and hair clips close to me. This is Ruth's. She moved in with her granddaughter and grandson-in-law. And when other people came in the home, here was just a quick introduction to Ruth. And I love that what's important to Ruth is having a little pour before bed, which is rum and tea. You notice that none of these look alike. They're all different. They all have different information. They're written for different purposes. This one was written with Trey. Trey has a job. Trey's mother is our project manager, Tracy Manns. And he was having some concerns at work. And Tracy said, Trey, I think it would be helpful if we wrote a one page. And she said, come sit with me. Let's talk about this. And he wanted no part of it. And so she started talking about what she liked about him, what she appreciated about him. And all of a sudden he's like, okay, write down when I'm passionate about a subject, my joy is evident. And he sat down and engaged. And it was because she wasn't talking about what he couldn't do, but she was talking about who he was as a young man. When she asked him about what's important too, he said, my family. And she asked him for details. Look at the video games. He said it was important to him to play his video games. And she knows that. And she said, which ones? And she had him name them. Why? Because she thought, you know what? Maybe his coworkers like video games, and maybe this would be a way for them to connect. Under how to best support me. No, I'm literal. So when you talk to me, don't use sayings that don't sound like what they mean, like hit the road. Think outside the box. Raining cats and dogs. And he said, help me know that things will get better. She took this one page, she shared it with his supervisor. She also asked that it be placed in his HR file. So if anything came up, people would have it as a resource. And things got much better at work. So again, it really helped other people see what they could do, and get to know him as a young man. We also know the importance of having one-page descriptions for hospitalizations. So it's quick, it's one page. It helps everybody who comes in the room. And I've told people, put it in a plastic sheet protector and put it above the bed, because everybody walking in the room will see something that's posted above the bed. Don't put it on the bed tray. Don't put it on the whiteboard, because not everybody reads that whiteboard. But it really helps anybody coming in the room see who the person is and how they can support them. So when you do one for hospitalization, like and admire is going to be the same, but now under important too, it's going to be related to the hospital setting. So what do people need to know that's important to them so that they feel safe, they feel comfortable, maybe items to have, maybe what to do when they walk in the room, how to explain things, and maybe things about the TV and music. How to best support, again, related to the hospital setting. So how do they express pain? What's the best way to position them? Who might they want to talk to? What's the best way to give them medications? Again, this is my brothers for hospitalization. The great things are the same, but now what's important to him is chatting with me every day to talk over decisions. And I would put my phone number. When people come in the room, tell me who you are. And he wants to see the priest or the chaplain. How to best support. We learned all these the hard way. One day I walked in his room around 5 o'clock and there was a tray of food there. I said, "Oh, Nick, let me feed you." And he said, "That's not dinner, that's lunch." I said, "What do you mean that's lunch?" And nothing had been eaten. I said, "Nick, you didn't like the food?" He goes, "Nobody fed me." I went out, I went to the nurse's station. I said, "He can't," she said, "He must have not liked the food." I had given her a one page, it was in his file. I said, "He can't feed himself." So we learned that we had to put that, use a spoon to feed me. When he was in the hospital, he couldn't use his laptop with voice output. So ask me yes, no questions. I can nod or move my eyebrows. How to position him in bed, what kind of a call button he needed. Put him in his wheelchair. That's where he's the most comfortable. And you can give him pills with ice cream. Leave the TV on because he couldn't operate the remote. So we also have a story from Tara. Tara is Trey's twin. She's a nurse. And she works in a hospital in Columbus. She had a patient come up to her floor, which is where patients go after they're admitted from emergency. The woman was bloody. She had autism. She did not use words to communicate. She had her front teeth knocked out, broken nose. She was with a caregiver, a staff. And on the bed cart, she had a 3-inch binder. She came up from ER, had no pain meds, was in a confining bed, had no clothes on. And Tara went and called her mom and said, "You've got something to help me. I know you have something." Tracy told her about the one page, walked her through it. Tara took it, went in the room, talked to the caregiver and the woman, and asked, "What do you like about her? What do people like about her? What's important to her? Why has she not been given pain meds?" Well, she couldn't answer the question, "What's your pain level, 0 to 10?" What does she like? Does she want the TV on? Does she want books? Does she want a color? How can we support her? Wrote up a quick one page, put it above the bed, found out that she was in a confining bed because she never slept in a bed. The only time she was in a bed was when she was in the hospital. So she realized she was in the hospital. What does she sleep in at home? A recliner. By having this quick conversation, Tara was able to find out how to better support this young woman. First of all, she was better cared for because now she had pain meds. She wasn't in a confining bed. She didn't like the hospital gown because it moved and would, choke her. What does she like? Sweats. We'll get her scrubs. Caregiver had a sweatshirt. Life was good. The woman was more pleasant. She was calmer. The staff knew how to support her. The caregiver was able to go out and, use the restroom, get a cup of coffee. The next day, the doctors on round saw this one page and asked, why don't we have this for everyone? We know the medical information. It's in the record. It's, in the electronic record, but we don't know who the person is. Another outcome was the provider said, is there any limitations on using this one page? We'd like to use it with everybody we support and have it ready just in case someone is taken to the hospital. So the one page, why do we have it? Well, it's great for when people are going around new people, new environments, new experiences. It's a great way to introduce them. It's a quick summary, one page. They don't have to read the whole plan. It helps with self-esteem because people like the fact that we're asking them about what do people like and admire, what are you proud of? And it helps, if you're working with teenagers, it helps them as part of their IEP process, identify accommodations. So there are a lot of different ways that it can be used. What we want to see our vision is that the one page is human-centric. It's not about the services, it's not about the disability, but it's about who the person is, their qualities, and what we need to do so they feel respected and comfortable. It's simple. People can have several. They can have one for staff coming in their home to help them. They can have one for hospitalizations. They can have one for medical appointments. They can have one if they're looking for a job or going to volunteer somewhere. We like telling people to put a photo because that shows who the human being is. And it's developed by the person and people who know them well. It's not demographic information. It's not a list of services, and it's not about the disability. So let's talk about what is a good life. A good life is that we have dreams. A good life is we have people who believe in us. A good life is that we have what's important to us. A good life is that we're respected and valued. A good life is that we have more good days than bad. We don't live in utopia. A good life is that we feel healthy and safe. And a good life is that we have control. We've already talked about important too. So let's talk about what a trajectory towards a good life typically looks like. Usually if people ask us, do you have a good life? We talk about our friends, our family. These are generic. These are categories that we have money, our faith, that we can take vacations. But again, we need to get to details. The tool that I like to use when I first meet people is, what do you want in your life? It's called the exploring trajectory, and we just have two boxes. Arrow going up towards what you want in your life, and just as important, what you don't want. A lot of times, people and families can tell us much easier or much more quickly what they don't want than what they do want. We also have a planning trajectory. And, once you have rapport and people know that you're listening to them and recording what you tell them, then you might use this planning trajectory, which is, again, what is your vision for what you want? What don't you want? And then on the far left, what's happened in the past that has helped you go towards your good life? And what's happened in the past that didn't help? And then in the middle, what needs to happen to continue going towards your good life? And what do we need to make sure doesn't happen because it'll take you towards what you don't want? Now, some families I know have filled out their vision and they've try to capture what's happened in the past, what worked, what didn't work. And then they'll meet with their team and say, how can you help us move forward? And identify some action steps. The trajectory really helps people think about what do they want in their life. And this is not necessarily an annual goal, but asking people about their life. What do you want in your life? It should not be done in a team meeting because this is really about the person. You know, how many of us want to sit around a table with a lot of people and talk about what we want in our life? The person can develop their trajectory, but also the family can develop their own trajectory for their loved one from their perspective. And the trajectory helps us keep on track. Are we helping people move towards what they want? Are we helping people move, stay away from what they don't want? As I said before, it's never too early, never too late. We would love to see the trajectory used in early intervention to help families identify that vision. So as they move through the stages of life, they continue to review it, and we continue as professionals to help them move towards that good life for their loved one. You can do a trajectory for a long period of time, a short period of time, for your whole life, or maybe just focus on one domain. And let me go through the domains. There are different ways people can do their trajectory. This is a group of people that cut pictures out of magazines, they drew, and they wrote. This is a trajectory that reflects what a group of people want in their life. It was done towards the end of a Project STIR training when everybody present was asked to identify one thing per Post-it note of what they wanted in their life and one thing per Post-it note that they didn't want. The beauty of this trajectory is the executive director of the county board that sponsored this training came in, and I told him to go look at the trajectory to see what do people want and what do people want to avoid. And in his next newsletter, he actually wrote an article about the Project STIR training and took some of the Post-it notes and included it in his article. What a great way to include someone's voice, the voice of people receiving supports. So I talked about 6 life domains. Each one is represented by an icon. And they're interrelated. So what we do during the day may be impacted by where we live, by our health, and where we live may be impacted by where we work. These are really quality of life areas. If I asked you, do you have a good quality of life? You probably would tell me, I love where I live. I feel healthy. I take care of myself. I feel safe. I love what I do during the day. I have friends. I'm part of a faith community. And I speak up for myself, but I also speak up for other families and help other families advocate and other people with lived experience advocate for what they want in life. Sometimes we ask people, what do you want in life? What is your vision? And they go, huh? And so this vision tool can help people think about each of those 6 life domains. And it's available on lifecoursetools.com. You go to the tab that says library and then go down to find foundational tools and person-centered. You can use this to have conversations with people and actually write what they tell you. Don't just send it to somebody. Don't send any of these tools to somebody and say, here, fill these out. Use them to facilitate conversation, take notes, and then give them to people so they have the paper and they can think about it. So I've helped people think about their life. And sometimes people will draw, sometimes people will write, sometimes families will have conversations and take notes. So the vision tool, the first column, are the 6 life domains, the icons. And then there's a section for supports for the family. So we recognize, remember, that families need support too. So what supports does the family need? And then the star is on the bottom, and that's for what supports may help them. The second column gives you the name of the domain and the description. The third column is white space. So people can start thinking, and I ask them, what do you want to stay the same? What do you want to be different? And the last column is for priority. I don't focus so much on that. If people want to prioritize, this is important, this is not so important, whatever. And please, people do not have to fill out every box. And you as a professional do not have to fill out every box, because this is just to help you have that conversation, frame the conversation, and record what you learn, and then give it to the person or the family to keep. You can take a picture, you can make a copy, whatever, but give it to them so they can think about it over time in their own comfort. The value of getting perspectives from, the person, the family, maybe the staff that work with them, is we hear from everybody. And we don't focus on getting consensus because not everybody agrees. How many of you in your own family agree on everything? What does the conversation look like when you say, what should we have for dinner, or what movie should we watch? I am guessing that you don't have 100% consensus, but you agree to move forward. We'll watch this movie this time, and in the future, we'll watch a movie you picked. So it helps identify where the perspectives are the same, and that's where we can move forward and work. But it also helps identify when there are differences, and maybe we need to have further conversations or clarify more. So for the trajectory, what we want to see is that people and families can gather their vision, think about it in their own comfort, in their own time, and then share what they identify with the people that help them. What we don't want is that this is done in a team meeting and that this is done by a team. It should never be done in a team meeting and not done by the team. Once we have a vision, something the person wants to do, or maybe a concern they have, we can brainstorm possible resources and supports by using something called an integrated support star. So why do we use this? We use it to brainstorm possible supports. We start with personal strengths and assets, that's at the top, and we end with eligibility specific, the light green area. So let me go through each area. We also have a split star. I like the split star because each of the 5 points of the star are split into what are the current supports that you have, but also what do we need to look towards developing or finding out about. So let's go through the 5 points. You see on this slide, the 3 circles on the left. Remember that we want to support the person in the context of their family, in their community, with integrated supports. So you see the stars that are reflecting all 5 areas, all 5 colors. Let me go back for just a minute. So anytime you have any kind of a concern, I like to always talk about planning vacation. My brother Nick wanted to go to Disney. He wanted to go alone. His personal strengths and assets were that he knew what he wanted to do. He knew how to plan. He knew he had to save money. Those are personal strengths and assets. Technology. He knew he had a laptop. He knew how to use the internet. He knew how to search for things. But he also used a power chair, and he used a CPAP machine, And we had to think about what technology is going to go with him when he goes to Disney. Relationships on the right side, that like purple, light lilac colored area, is are people who are not paid. So what relationships does he have that can help him plan? Well, of course, we helped him plan as a family. When people heard that he wanted to go to Disney, all of a sudden friends were telling us, I just went, what does he want to know? Or we're going, what does he want us to find out? Some of my family said, I know people who know. So, and they were like trying to connect Nick to people. Our family said we buy him presents for Christmas and his birthday. What does he need for his trip? Does he need a suitcase? Does he need different clothes? What does he need? So, personal strengths and assets also include letting people know what you want to do so they can figure out how to help. Community resources, that dark blue section, bottom left. What's available for anyone in the community to use to plan a trip? Well, you can go to the library, you can go to a travel agent. You can, sometimes the community centers have speakers talking on how to plan a trip or how to, what to think about for Disney. So are there any of those opportunities or resources that are available to everyone? And then eligibility specific supports, his physical therapist and occupational therapist said, he's going to go in this power chair that's very individualized. It's got a lot of moving parts. It had a tilt-in-space seat and all sorts of, doodads. And they said, what happens if something happens to the chair? And I was like, what do you mean? They said, well, he has Ohio Medicaid. We'll talk to our vendor and see if they have any reciprocity with anybody in Florida in case something happens. I had never even thought about that. But also, eligibility specific, you all, when you plan a trip, do you have discounts that you can use because of your age, because of your gender, because of your employment status? Maybe I use hotel discounts because of my age. Think about, we all have eligibility specific supports. It's not just people with disabilities. If you're employed, your employer probably provides you with technology and probably provides you with IT support. You probably have health insurance that you are eligible for. You may even have wellness benefits. Maybe you have a retirement system. So don't just think of eligibility being disability specific. We all have eligibility specific supports. So again, it just helps you brainstorm who can help you move towards your outcome that you have put in the star in the middle. So we want people to use the integrated star to really brainstorm what are possible supports. We like to start with personal strengths and assets first. Why? Because we want this to be a strengths-based approach and end with eligibility specific. And this tool, I think, is best done with a lot of people because different people may know different resources. And it's a great way to brainstorm what's possible out there. What we don't want is that we start with eligibility specific because that's so narrow. And we want to look at a broad spectrum of possible supports. So we use the star to brainstorm. Staff have used it to identify resources that are possible, even to map resources in the community. Supervisors have used it to help staff brainstorm when they know that they can't use public supports for something somebody wants. What's available in the community? What's available to everybody? And it's best done over time with practice and with practical examples. So don't hesitate to share maybe with coworkers. I'm working with a family or somebody who wants this. I don't know what to offer them. I don't know what's available, and see what other people know. So whenever you use any of these skills or tools, please always identify why you're going to use the tool. The one page, why? Because it's a quick way to introduce people to new people, new places, new environments, new experiences. It's a way to shift how people talk about someone from disability specific to human centric. That's why we use it. The vision tool, why we use it to help people think broadly about life and their vision. The trajectory, why? To help people organize what they want, what they don't want, and share with people who help them. The star, why? To brainstorm. Explain it to the person. I think this will help you. And no, you don't have to use a specific tool with everybody or all the tools with one person. And always use it on yourself first before you use it with anybody else. And as I said before, use it to take notes on and then give it to the person, because people and families have told us the paper gives them paper power, paper courage. So to summarize our core belief, why we do our work: everyone has the right to live, love, work, play, learn, and pursue their life aspirations in their community. We start with the person in the context of their family. We look at 6 life domains or quality of life areas. We think about the 3 buckets of needs and support and how we're providing and filling those buckets of information, goods and services, and helping people connect and network. We look at resources that can help people have their good life using the integrated support star and the 5 areas of possible supports. The importance of having a vision or a trajectory towards their good life across the lifespan. So thank you for attending. Please visit our webpage, frnohio.org. Sign up so that you will be notified of all of our presentations. Look at our resources, and also like our Facebook page. And if you are interested in actually integrating Charting the Life Course into your work, we also provide something called guided implementation. Feel free to contact you, and we look forward to seeing you in future presentations or hearing back from you. Thank you very much.